All right. Good afternoon, guys. We are still waiting for Professor Babatunde from Nigeria, and we're still trying to get contact with him. Is the first speaker ready?
So I'm present.
So you'll be presenting the first paper?
Yes, yes, I will.
Right. I think because of the time, we can start. We can start, and when he appears, then he will take over. Yeah, just because of the time. So Miss Narosu, yeah, Miss Narosu,
Yeah.
where are you from?
I'm from Indonesia, so
Indonesia, Jakarta, Medan.
in Medan.
Medan. All right. Okay. Right. 10 minutes and plus 5 minutes for Q&A. Okay. So
Sure.
I'll stop you if you exceed the 10 minutes. Okay. Please proceed.
Yeah, a moment. So I will be sharing the screen by my own.
Okay.
Yeah. It starts from discourse analysis. In linguistic studies, discourse is the component with multidimensional grammatical hierarchy, and language that expands beyond simple word is called discourse. To understand it, the analysis cannot be separated from the complexity of knowledge and the social realities. And language is not just to express ideas and information in daily life, but also to depict a group of people and their culture. Therefore, language is indicative of the identity of social relationships in a community. How do I next this? Okay. So the background of the research come from Indonesia, in the southern part of the North Sumatra province. There's this local indigenous community called the Batak Angkola, and they perform traditional ceremony during any occasion, and particularly in the wedding ceremony. Their utterance and their speeches during the ceremony can be understood through a term in linguistics called inference. So the research is trying to answer the question, how does inference explain the relationship between speech and the form of the referent it refers to? The research tried to uncover the relationship between utterances or statements in the ceremony and the form of the referent that they refer in the context of this particular indigenous community. So during the ceremony, there will be a group of people in a village, and this group of people is divided into 3 categories, namely Kahangi, Mora, and Anak Boru, and there will be another group of people who will also involve in the ceremony called the elders or Hatobangon and the kings or Harajaon. During the ceremony, the bride and groom, all the people who is present to be blessed in the ceremony, will be given a plate of complete dishes, consists of rice, chicken or lamb, fish dishes, etc. And each people in the ceremony is given a particular role depending on where the ceremony is being held. Some of them are the messenger, the responder, and the master of ceremony. So this is the village in the southern part of North Sumatra province. The village name is Sipirok. This is where the indigenous community of Batak Angkola live. This is their habitation. This research utilized a qualitative descriptive framework with the context of discourse analysis from linguistic, taken from Fairclough and Brown and Ewell theory. And then the literature comes from discourse analysis and inference. Also, the primary data in this research is the original text on the ceremony and the identification of the set presented, the plate of foods dishes that presented during the ceremony. And the secondary data is observation during the ceremony, and then the interviews conducted with the speaker during the ceremony. So here is the documentation of the research. It comes from original language. So at first, the researcher translate the original indigenous language into Bahasa Indonesia, and then we, in writing this this manuscript, we translate them into English. So this is the documentation of the ceremony held in the research location. In the screen, you can see the king using a fabric in his neck, and then the elder who hold the bowl, and then the bride and groom who is being blessed, and then on the left below, you can see the group of people who are conducting the speeches. Here are some of the analysis we made. We limit the analysis into the speeches given by only the notable people during the ceremony who use blessings in their words, because we want to see how these blessings is translated into the local wisdom of the community, and then we identify several aspects of linguistics, such as semantic, pragmatic, and phonologic. The research finds that inference in phonological manner shows the relationship between one expression and one another. Meanwhile, the pragmatic inference shows the relationship between text and context, and the semantic inference can also be used to explain the speeches. The research conclude that the persuasiveness and the depth of advice in the ceremony are dependent on the role of each speaker. In a broader sense, the elocutionary force can be categorized as requests, expectations, explanations, agreements, inquiries, responses, orders, and prohibitions. And during the ceremony, it is possible to make a variety of inference in order to determine meanings and relationship between phrases in speech acts. And also in traditional ceremony, it has been discovered that the choice of meaning for each item in the set of the dishes is not as restrictive as the literal meaning. Each component is very dependent on the speaker's ability to make beautiful expressions by connecting the components to their intended meaning. I think that's all the 10 slides from our team. Please, Chair.
Sorry, I was muted. Your collaborators, all from Medan, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
From Medan, okay. What is the implication of your findings, actually? I mean, you've got your findings now. So what's next? What do you intend to do with the results that you've got?
So this research is still ongoing. There are two types of analysis in this course. The first is inference and the other one is reference. So in the next year, we will try to discover the same ceremony, but with the reference terminology.
Yeah. What is your the sample size? I mean, how did you determine the sample size? I mean, you know, the data that you've got. What determines you that you've got enough, or it's not enough? What is the limitation? What is the
the ceremony being held everywhere is the same, with the same role and with the same role and roles from the people involved, and we gather all the original texts. Now we limit the analysis into the text that only includes words such as blessings and prayers and advices to the people.
What limited you, the sample, the numbers? What limited you? So that would be your limitations, yeah? There are certain limitations that you say, hey, this is enough. So what was the deciding factor that say that, you know, you have enough samples, or you mentioned that it's still ongoing. So are you looking for more samples, or what do you intend?
During the field work, we encounter only 3 wedding ceremony for the duration of 2 weeks. So that's the limitations.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right, any questions from the floor? Right? No? Right.
Right.
You're off the hook now, Rosie.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
next please. Who's next? Second?
It's
Second lady?
me. You can
Miss
hear?
Siti Aisha.
Yes, it's me.
Right, okay. Are you ready now?
Yes, you can listen to me clearly, sir?
Yes, yes, very clear.
Yes, all right,
Yeah.
all right. I'll
Right,
share
bye-bye,
this.
Nurusu. See you in Malaysia, in Kuala Terengganu, a few months' time.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everybody. I'll make it short and fast. Okay, the title for our presentation is Social Acceptability of Royal Sovereignty among the Traditional Wood Carvers in Malaysia. Me with my team, Siti Aisyah Muhammad, Norma Sarah Rosdi, and Dewan Muhammad Nurul Zaman. Okay, as an introduction and literature review, the royal sovereignty is a social acceptance between the commoners and rulers that develop the social status hierarchy. So the effects of this understanding is presented among the traditional wood carvers. Basically, as we know that seldom or less, sorry, less of research talking about the royal wood covers. Therefore, we want to explain to the audience that what result do this specialty or how the royal wood cover we choose and towards to the social acceptability of royal sovereignty among this wood cover. For the introduction and literature review, this research will focus on a few parts of the body of knowledge, specifically the wood carving scope only. And our limitations on the palace, which traditional timber palace only, which explicitly presenting the wood carvings ornamentation. Traditionally, Malay sculpture created products with a purpose. Traditional music instrument, the head of the boat, weapons, furniture, traditional transportation, and carpentry tools. Carvings on the head of boat is the shape of stock or other will be possible for fishermen who have a boat to capture fish in sea or river, and for them stock carving or other non-carving not intended to impress the monarch but for aesthetic reason. For the literature review, the definitions of royal wood carving, they are actually the people who've been chosen to become the royal or palace wood carvers based on the wood craftsmen during the puja boat. Definitely happened in Kelantan. So because of the social acceptability or upon the royal sovereignty, which is the feudal system happened in Malaysia. For example, the Malay Sultanate will become the tops of the social status, while the aristocrats follows the commoners and the slaves. So the royal wood carvers who has been selected during the puja boat ceremony, they will become the royal wood carver. This happened, we can see from the findings, that the ornamentation that wood carvers did at what will have the similar significance to the royal palace. So the methodology we applied for this research, a case study, which is the Istana Balai Besar in Kota Baru, Kelantan, with a review of outcomes through documentation and measured drawing by Universiti Malaysia Kelantan. We also have an in-depth interview with craft master Adi Guru Mr. Mohaimin, was done to understand the wood carver philosophy and techniques. Besides, we also reviewing the secondary data from the journals, books, and unpublished theses. Istana Balai Besar has been constructed during 1844 during the reign of Sultan Muhammad II. And then today, Istana Balai Besar become the office of royal. Okay, I'll make it short to make it findings. From the findings, wood carving Istana Balai Besar, the intricate design of this palace shows the hierarchical status between royal and commoners. Okay, from the figure, it shows that difference in social culture between commoners and royalty was due to the sovereignty implemented 1,000 years ago, which plays a vital role in shaping the culture or norms in society. Therefore, the commoners will place the ruler at the time at administration top to show respect. Any ornamentation that carved in this palace cannot be done to the royal and to the commoner's house. Okay, if from this slide, we can see there are actually 32 intricate ornamentation that only allow or prohibited for the commoners to do at their home. There are motif tompok manggis, bunga Cina, bunga kerak nasi, bunga bayam peraksi, bunga kiambang, bunga bayam peraksi, and also several ornamentation happen at this panel wall. Okay. And from the right side of this slide, you can see the ornamentation at the boat during the puja boat ceremony. So the chosen one or the selected wood carver from this boat carvement will become the royal carvement for this palace. Okay, and this is the intricate interior of this balai rongseri in Istana Balai Besar. So this palace balai rong is actually more than 100 years. Okay, and we took one sample of intricate janda rear wall panel that explain what is the meaning of the sovereignty happened to this wood carvings. For example, from this janda rear wall at Balai Perasapan, they use the motif bunga Tanjung with pattern of awan larat pecah empat, which is, you can see there are 4 sides of this panel. The incision is, they use the silat dada tuma. The technique is embossed carving with incision. The source is sourced from seed ataupun or punca benih in Malay. And the motif is motif bunga Tanjung. There are meanings behind of this panel, whereby the central flower motif possibly. Sorry, I can't hear you. Okay. The central flower motif, possibly bunga kembang Cina, is a focal point and dominant element surrounded by folded leaves as complementary elements in rhombus shapes. This type of flower can be found generally at the house compound and can be found from the seed as cure height, fever, gastritis, and other. Okay. This flower was believed to be a symbol of friendliness in Malay culture. For motif creation in the composition, the wood carver will translate into abstract form. The repeating layers in the composition show its complexity and intricacy, making a focal point reflecting the wood carver's craftsmanship in creating the best visual presentation for the king. The leaves are designed to be interlaced and bent over in their shape is placed with a shape with other elements that aim to beautify the wood carvers in art itself further. Behind the softness and flexibility of the arrangements of the leaves, there is meaning which is good behavior in life, in addition to promoting harmony in society, especially among the ruler and people being ruled. Only 3D carving like this technique can be applied in palace during that time. So, as a conclusion, Malay wood carvings are an ornament that is a symbol of identity and creativity of the Malay community. Besides that, it is vital to safeguard our legacy and keep it in the best condition possible to prevent its potential from being lost. The carving is more than just a decoration. It requires an eloquence in its construction, and every choice of motif, pattern, source, incision, technique, and philosophy arrangement to form a wood carving composition conveys many emotion and experience. As a recommendation, the most vital part is that the wood carving at the palace is undoubtedly a symbol of royal status and dignity, as the royal works as a civilization identity. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Siti Aisha.
Yes.
Your background, you're from which faculty?
Faculty of Architecture.
Right. So your interest is into the into the interior, intricates of the.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Wood carvings.
Right. I noticed when you show your references, there were symbols of more of animal symbols, yeah?
Yes.
Right.
This is
That from your study, because especially the royalties, they are much related to the religion of Islam, right? Correct?
yes.
Yes.
Mhm.
So presumably, or for that matter, how would you relate the animal figurehead and the influence of the animal figurehead? Because a few of your visuals that you showed,
Mhm.
including the black and white visual
Mm.
that you showed, it was actually there was an influence from the animals like sort of thing. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So how would you discuss this? Because this was taken when before Islam or after Islam or when was it? When was it taken? Yeah.
Okay, from this figure, actually, Puja Laut, or it's happened during this king's birthday. It's happened and it's ended in 1991. After that, there is no more Puja Laut, or Puja Air in Kelantan anymore. Basically, this Puja Air is a place where the royal will choose the royal wood cover. Therefore, after 1991, there's no more like this intricate boat of like Garuda or Manora. It seems like this figure. Okay, so this is the actually at the head at the top of this slide. This is the remnants of the original boat for Puja Laut that still keep in Istana Balai Besar. So it's only become like ceremonial boat for exhibition only nowadays because of the respects to this Islamic religion, and also this puja laut is like no more being practiced in Kelantan anymore. So like others like ornamentations at the wall, there's no more like fauna motif anymore, and it's only become like past reference for this future wood carvings, wood covers only. Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Anybody else would like to say anything to Madam or Miss Siti Aisha?
Hi, I'm from
Hi.
Thailand. Yes, yeah,
Yes, madam.
yes, yeah. I'm interested in your presentation, but I didn't quite catch it. What kind of animal head is that on the yeah in the picture?
Actually, this boat have name, but I forgot the real name. But from Kota Baru, 2 years ago, if I can read it, is a bird. Actually, the greatest bird is times is I see the Kelantan in Thailand very near to the culture during that time, right?
Yes.
And we also sharing this kind of the motifs of fauna, for example, like the Garuda, and also these birds, which I forgot the name, but the real names of this boat, they have the name. From this, what it is, uh, from this statement here, the model of the bird in the National Museum left was made in Kota Baru from the sketches done for this one. Okay, actually, it's a like a bird, but it's for puja laut, or for king's birthday ceremony, and they bring this for their coronation, and also there's competitions, the most intricate boat during that time to choose the royal wood cover. And for the detail, Miss Pierre, maybe I can email you later the real names of this. Yeah.
Yes, that would be nice.
Yes.
Yeah, and maybe we can exchange information because I think there are like quite the structure of the vehicle in the Royal Museum that
Yes.
it's actual board, but mostly they have a head of a mythical snake and and other creatures. So I
Yes.
send you information in case you are interested in doing comparative study.
Oh, I would love to. Yes, it's very nice to hear from you.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Right. You've got your international collaborators interested with you.
Thank you.
I hope you would take the opportunity, and
Yeah.
probably we'll see you in Terengganu for our next conference. Yeah.
Inshallah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Right. We've got the next. We've got our Professor Babatunde finally entering. Where is he now? I'll pass over the chairmanship to him now. Right.
Hello, good morning.
Prof. Babatunde, we've you couldn't get from the WhatsApp link, is it?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I thought I was expecting it in my mail,
Right.
but
Okay.
I was offline on WhatsApp, and then I
Right.
suddenly saw it.
Okay, I thought you had the technical difficulties. So while waiting for you, and because of the schedule, so we've passed two with already presented. So now you're going to for the third presenter. Are you
Okay,
with
the
me?
third presenter, that's PM001.
Right. Yep. Hasna.
Yes, sir.
Right.
That's downward accountability as a
Yes,
tool to enhance Malaysian NPO's effectiveness.
yes, sir. Okay, I will share
Okay.
the screen now.
Okay, thank you. You have 10 minutes to present. Oh wow.
Okay, can everyone see my slide? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
I
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening. I bid to the chairperson, Prof. Babatunde, and everyone, members of the floor. So today, I'm Hasnatul Shakira, will present our paper with the title Downward Accountability as a Tool to Enhance Malaysian MPO's Effectiveness. So here are the presentation outline. So moving forward to the introduction. As many unfortunate events that happens currently around the world, such as the outbreak of the pandemic COVID-19 and the natural disasters such as the flash flood, the earthquake, have emerged the important roles of the non-profit organization. And their roles have been recognized and required from time to time. As you can see, their numbers around the world are increased positively. So there are 5 main characteristics of MPOs. The first one is ordered, private, voluntary, self-governance, and not-for-profit distribution. And in Malaysia, the Registrar of Society, ROS, and the Companies Commission of Malaysia is the main 2 authorities that governing the third sector, the non-profit organization. So accountability is seen as extremely important within a non-profit organization because they are one of the public service providers. Because a lack of accountability will in the result of many negative issues will tarnish the image and reduce the MPO's effectiveness. So several issues can tarnish the reputation, such as not meeting the needs and the satisfaction of their intended beneficiaries. So the main objective of this research is to assess the relationship between downward accountability, which are the information disclosure and participation mechanism, and MPO's effectiveness. So the Malaysia is being the primary setting as in this context because it identified that small numbers of research has been done in the context of Malaysia regarding this topic. And also Malaysian non-profit organization may expand their worldwide contribution to the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, which also cooperate in handling the global issues such as the refugees and the human trafficking as well. So moving forward, the literature review. So the first one is the non-profit organization effectiveness. So according to all the previous scholars in their research, they have been defined organizational effectiveness is the degree to which an organization has achieved its declared goals, objective, and also performance. So organizational effectiveness is sensitive to the how the organization perception towards the effectiveness themselves. So as the conceptual of an organization about what is the definition of their own effectiveness will change how they define their effectiveness and how they assess their performance of the effectiveness. So being a non-profit organization, the efficacy of MPO being it cannot only be based on the financial performance only, but also must be looking at the non-financial performance as well. So most scholars believe that to assess the effectiveness of the MPO, it must be using the hybrid approach, which combine the prominent approaches such as the goal attainment approach, system resource approach, process approach, and also strategic constituents approach. And most of the scholars agree that the importance of the effectiveness is to be achieved when they are all meeting the satisfaction and the needs of the stakeholders overall. Okay, so moving forward to the accountability, which we are talking about the information disclosure and the participation mechanism. So accountability, downward accountability, according to Ibrahim in 2003, defined downward accountability as a delegating authority to those lower supply chain, such as from the MPO or from the organization toward their intended beneficiaries. So often this downward accountability stem from the internalized sense of obligation from the members of the non-profit organization in giving their services, in giving their aid to their intended beneficiary. So this research will focus on downward accountability since in the context of Malaysia, as I mentioned before, it received less attention than other types of accountability. As we can see that most of the non-profit organization focus on the upward accountability, which is towards their donors and to their authority. So what is information disclosure? It can be defined as the process of preserving stakeholder relationship based on trust through the open flow of the information and knowledge. So non-profit organization must disclose their information, especially their financial information, which can include the financial report, financial statement, and must not be forget the non-financial information as well, as this non-financial information will fill the gap that fail to be covered by the financial information. Okay, I mentioned before, because we know that non-profit organization is not for profit distribution. Hence, we cannot only looking the performance on the financial performance. So we must also assess on the non-financial information as well. Moving forward to the participation mechanism. So participation mechanism is a mechanism through which the beneficiaries may influence and share control over the development activities, policies, and resources that impact them through the services and aid that given by the MPO. So according to Ibrahim, participation is a unique accountability mechanism from assessment and report, and it is not a tool, but it's a process, because it will be continued from time to time and must be done evolving from through time to time. Okay, so according to the paper, the accountability of intended beneficiary must be rethought as a record of activities and transaction rather than an abstract accounting of numbers. So beneficiary are also the stakeholder with the right to participate in policies that affect their daily life. However, some of the scholars are debating that the beneficiaries has the less power because of their maybe the factors of illiteracy, because of poverty. So they has less access to information and knowledge and also awareness. Okay, so this is the research model for this paper. So from this research model, there are two hypotheses that being developed, which is the first one is the information disclosure positively relates to the MPO's effectiveness, and the second hypothesis is participation mechanism positively relates to the MPO's effectiveness. Okay, moving forward to the methodology. So the sample size in this research is 214 staff of nation welfare MPOs that located in Klang Valley. So the sampling technique used is purposive sampling. The data collection used is using the questionnaire survey, using the Google form. And lastly, the data analysis used is descriptive statistic and structural equation model. Okay, so before we doing the SAM, we have to validate first. So using the confirmatory factor analysis, according to all the validity, we using the conversion validity, discriminant validity, and also the construct validity. So all the value has achieved, and then we proceed to the main, which is the structure assessment of the structural model. Okay, so first, this is the demographic profile. So the most of the respondent are from female, which is 62.6%, and for the age is the majority is from 20 to 30 years old, and most of the race is from Malay, 60.7%, and most of the respondent is married, 48.6%.
Presenter,
and
you have 3 minutes more, please.
Okay, so from these findings, it is can be concluded that only information disclosure has the positive relationship between the MPO's effectiveness. However, the participation mechanism has insignificant relationship with the MPO's effectiveness. So, so we move forward to the discussion. Okay, so there is no relationship between the participation mechanism, but there is positive relationship between the information disclosure. However, theoretically, the scholars have agreed that even though participation mechanism has no relationship, but from time to time, as I mentioned before, the reason there is no participation mechanism is because of the beneficiaries of illiteracy, of the situation of the poverty, and that make them has less access to the information, to the knowledge, and also the awareness. So as for managerial repercussion, management must ensure that downward accountability is properly and efficiently implemented, because they must from time to time being creative in order to implement the downward accountability, which is the first reason why the MPO effectiveness, the MPO is being established, is because for the intended beneficiaries. So in conclusion, MPO must be proactive and willing to adapt to the changes to respond to the dynamic environment of the third sector. So several limitations were identified. So the first one is the sample size. In this research, we are only focusing on the welfare MPO in Klang Valley. So maybe in the future research might include other categories of MPOs and also other region. And next, we are using only the quantitative method. So might in the future research include a mixed method approaches. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for that presentation on non-profit organizations. Participants, do you have any questions or any issue to raise with Dr. Hadi? Okay, I just, non-profit organizations are so important in any economy or to any nation for that matter. I just want to ask, what are the means of information disclosure that they actually expect for non-profit organizations?
Okay, thank you, sir. It's actually how they manage the funding, what are they doing with the mostly the donors, especially the donors. They wanted to know how they use the money. Where is the money going? And actually, in the focus of downward accountability, the beneficiaries need to know what are where the money come from. So that's all the information, the details of the program being held for them. Where are the monies come from? And then maybe there are changing in any details. That is how the information disclosure is expected from the beneficiaries. And also from the donors and the authorities. So the issue here is because in Malaysia, they are only obliged to disclose the information because from the ROS, so the non-profit organization that are being governed by the Registrar of Society in Malaysia, they are obliged the organization to submit annual report, but they are not have the obligation for the organization to disclose the information towards the public. So that's why the public, the beneficiaries, and other stakeholder that is not apart from the authority, they didn't get that information, how the money used, where the monies of where the funding come from. So the public, especially the beneficiaries, didn't get the information like the authority get.
All right, is to ensure openness in their activities.
Yes, the transparency. Yes,
to the donors, to the authorities, and to the beneficiaries also. Yes. One of your major findings is that you said, or you found out that participation is insignificant.
Yes.
So what could be the reasons for this?
Okay, because from the previous study also mentioned that there is no participation from the beneficiaries in the development of the MPO is because of their illiteracy, because they can understand the information. Some of the non-profit organization might have also provide the information, but because of the lack of education, okay, because of their poverty, because of their illiteracy, that they have the difficulty to understand the information, so they tend to have lack of interest in order to know more about the information given by the non-profit organization. So that is one of the issue. But I believe that is the responsibility of the third sector as well to give the awareness, to provide the awareness, to provide the information that can be comprehended by the beneficiaries. So they must understand the audiences, of course, different from the authority because of the level. That's right. So maybe the information provided must have several versions. This one for the authorities, and this version more simpler towards their beneficiaries. So they have to attend different version of information to a different version of level of audiences.
Okay, thank you. I also have a suspicion that at the stage when NPOs are putting together their proposals to the donors, maybe they don't even contact the beneficiaries at all. Maybe at that stage, if they were taking along the beneficiaries, maybe your research could look into that. How much involvement the beneficiaries actually have when they're trying to put together the proposal. I think that would be very important.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Are there other questions on these presentations or contributions? Okay, if there's none immediately, thank you for that presentation.
All right, thank you, sir.
We'll take the fourth presentation then, which is the relationship of cognitive ability and self-confidence in driving activities among post-stroke survivors.
Yeah.
Is the presenter available?
Yes. Hi, sir. All right.
Yes.
Can you see my slides?
Good morning, good evening.
Yeah, good evening from Malaysia.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Can I start?
Yes, you have 10 minutes.
All right. Okay.
Yes.
Assalamualaikum and good evening to Prof. Dr. Babatunde, all right, and all participants. So my name is Erna Fariza. I'm from Center of Occupational Therapy Studies, Faculty of Health Sciences, Universiti Teknologi MARA, Malaysia. So today I will present my study entitled The Relationship of Cognitive Ability and Self-Confidence in Driving Activities Among Post-Stroke Survivors. Right. Malaysia is home to 30.78 million people as in 2020. Even reported the cerebrovascular disease, or also known as stroke, was recorded as Malaysia's third most prevalent cause of death. And there's a marginal increase recorded in incidence from 8% to 8.3% in 2021. And this fact was added by a report by WHO. Right. Figures show that 21,592 stroke fatalities occurred in Malaysia in 2020. So we can see that the cases of stroke are very common in Malaysian population. So according to the data, 36.2% of stroke survivors were discharged independently, while 53.1% had functional dependency, where 30% of that stroke survivor were previously driving, reported never drive again. So only 1/3 of stroke survivors who were frequent drivers before their stroke started to drive again after their stroke cases. So the loss of driving privilege can result in depression, right, reduced access to healthcare, and increased medical expenses. So getting back to behind the wheel after a stroke is a very crucial rehabilitation objective, since it promotes independence and quality of life. So basically, stroke survivors frequently experience cognitive impairments and other restrictions that may impair their ability to operate the vehicle. However, there was a limited study on the association between drivers' cognitive ability of the off-road exam and their confidence level. All right, so as a result, this is the aims of the study to investigate the relationship between cognitive ability based on off-road assessment and self-confidence in driving activities among stroke patients or post-stroke survivors, and furthermore to examine the demographic characteristics associated with the post-stroke survivors' cognitive ability and self-confidence. All right. So in the early phase of post-stroke driving, and community mobility should be discussed actually among the patient and family members to reinforce the process of the patient regaining independent driving. Although alternative transportation we have, such as rides from the family or friends, public transportation may be available, but this option may not fully replace the independence driving. Some stroke patients may be unable to depend on family members and friends all the time as they may become overburdened. Therefore, the risk and potential to return to drive must be discussed among therapists and also post-stroke patients to reintegrate into their community mobility. Resumption of driving is an essential goal in rehabilitation, right? As driving involves the simultaneous performance in multiple activities, right? We have to pay adequate attention, appropriately executing sequence of action in response to traffic, right? So driving is quite difficult activities. Okay, and then for the stroke patient, driving are difficulties activities to be done as they will have a problem in their cognitive and slowly also because of their lack of confidence behind the wheel caused by post-stroke limitation that affect their driving, such as distractibility, inadequate scanning of the environment, poor lane positioning, judgment problem, and slow response to emergency situation. So that's why, right, this assessment or off-road assessment is very important to be fine or to be examined in terms of their cognitive ability and also their confidence. Okay, so this study was a cross-sectional study design where 33 participants ages 18 to 65 years old who had experienced 1 to 6 months of stroke, all right, was obtained from General Hospital Taiping Perak in Malaysia, and then the ethic was obtained, or ethics approval was obtained from UITM and also in the hospital itself. And then the participant was asked to answer a set of questionnaire, consists of demographic questionnaire and also Adelaide Driving Self-Efficacy Scale or ACCESS to evaluate their confidence level. And then the patient also will be asked to assess by using a stroke driver screening assessment of SDSA to examine their cognitive ability. And then the data was will be evaluated by using the inferential analysis of independent t-test and also the Pearson chi-square. All right, so this is the result of the findings. So as indicated in the table 1, so most of the participants were aged 35 to 40 years old, male and Malay, and most participants were post-stroke survivor for 4 to 6 months ago and having a left side weakness and receiving rehabilitation treatment from occupational therapy, also physiotherapy. And then as you can see in the figure 1 on the right corner, all right, it illustrates the percentage of a pass and fails group assessing by using the stroke driver screening assessment, or we call it as SDSA. And then for the figure itself, it's shown that 51.1% of participants score pass with a mean predictive of 10.35, all right, and then only 48.5% score fail with a predictive score of 10.67. Right. Meanwhile, in the figure 2, below 1 here, all right, below figure 1, is summarize the percentage of participant confidence level based on their total score assessed by using Adelaide Driving Self-Efficacy Scale. And then the figure shown that a total of assessed mean score is 78.82, right, indicate that only 66.7% score a good confidence, a score not confidence, all right, in performing drive activities. And only 33.3% show confidence while performing driving activities. Okay, and then in this slide, you can see here in the table 2, right, it shows the differences between the pass and fail group of post-stroke survivor using a stroke driving screen assessment and total score of the ADSAS. And then you can see here, I can summarize up that the participant who score pass had a higher mean of self-confidence compared to those who are failed. And therefore, there are significant difference between the pass and fail group with the self-confidence score. Meanwhile, in this table 3, all right, it shows that the relationship between the post-stroke survivors' cognitive ability and their self-confidence in driving. So the two variables show a good positive relationship, which is statistically significant. Hence, a significant correlation exists between the cognitive ability and self-confidence in driving activities among the post-stroke survivors. And then in this slide, okay, we can see in the table 4, right, in the left side, shows the summary result of relationship between demographic characteristic in terms of age and driving status of the post-stroke survivors. And then there was a significant relationship between post-stroke survivors with age range. Okay, for the cognitive ability. So it seems that those above 50 years old were significant to score fail compared to those who score pass. And then you can see here as well, in the table 5, all right, on the right side of the screen, show a summary result of the relationship between the post-stroke survivors' demographic characteristic and their self-confidence. Only driving status show a significant relationship with the self-confidence. So those who resume driving after the stroke were significant to have a good self-confidence than those who did not continue driving after stroke.
So you have 2 minutes more.
All right, based on the result gained in the study, majority of the participants that passed the screen driving stroke assessment had a very high self-confidence. And then this finding was supported with the study finding by Nuri and Lincoln, revealed that the SDSA screening tools correctly predicted, right, patient performance while driving. And then the next slide, this study also found that the age range and driving status are significantly associated with post-stroke survivors' cognitive ability. So a previous study also conducted by Matthias and Lucas showed that age-related changes in cognitive functioning and the rate of motor vehicle crashes per kilometer increase with age. So it's related, right? And then this finding of this study also show that a significant relationship with self-confidence in doing driving activities among post-stroke. It observed that those who are stopped driving score low on self-confidence. And this study also supported by the other study by McNamara, all right, showing that lack of driving confidence might be the reason for not returning to drive. Okay. All right, and then the conclusion of this study is said that in post-stroke stroke rehabilitation, the aspect of driving can be highlighted by take a look on the post-stroke survivors' cognitive ability and their self-confidence by assessing through the off-road assessment. However, consideration can be made on the post-stroke survivors' age and driving status. The older the age, the less chances of them able to drive again and have a very low self-confidence. So as an occupational therapist, right, in part of rehabilitation, we can play a primary role in providing advice and early assessment regarding driving issues, such as cognitive abilities, self-confidence, right? And a further study is needed actually to explore whether increasing self-confidence can improve driving ability among post-stroke survivors. So another recommendation that I can give is to involve further on-road evaluation on driving simulators to identify post-stroke cognitive changes, driving confidence over a period hence of time. And then I end my presentation with one quote from the Aidan Wilson, which is an American author, mentioned that the driver on the highway is safe not when he reads the sign, but when he obeys them. All right, so drive safe, everyone. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for that presentation and the advice. I hope that all the participants will take to this advice. I just want to ask your, do you have any foreign participant on this participation on this paper?
Only 33 participants.
Okay, your co-author.
Oh, sorry, the co-author. Yeah, I have one international co-author from the Saudi Arabia, and then the others 2 is from Malaysia.
All right. Is the person from Saudi Arabia on the conference now?
I don't think so. He unable to join us. Yeah, apologize for that.
Right. All right. Okay. So thank you for that presentation. Do we have other participants that want to ask a question or contribute something to this paper or to the ideas? I noticed from your statistics that you don't have people that are less than 35 years that participated in this, that you sampled. Is it that people less than 35 years don't have stroke?
Okay,
or what happened?
All right. Okay, Prof. Thank you for the question because these participants are from the patients that attend hospital typing in Ipoh, Malaysia, in Perak, Malaysia. So means that in that department, basically the patient of the survivors patient that receiving a treatment from occupational therapy, also physiotherapy, and then in that department only the majority of them it's not the young people, not from the young generation. But if you take a look into the statistic in the whole Malaysia, actually there is a young generation nowadays starting to affected with stroke actually. But for my sample, you can see that no young generations. Yeah.
Okay, that's serious. What could make young people to have stroke?
All right, based on my readings and then actually because one of it is maybe their life habit, or because of maybe one because of the smoking, then maybe or because of their life habit, because they are basically stressed, all right, workaholic, or then don't have the work-life balance. So that is one of the chances now actually the youngsters affected with stroke, because we can see that if the youngsters now are busy having a work or something like that, they don't exercise and then they love to eat the fast food. So that is one of the chances to get a stroke among the youngsters.
Yeah, that's really educative. Then I want to ask another question. If people with high cognitive ability have low self-confidence in driving, so what can be done? What can be done to them?
All right, because basically, some of the patients have the good cognitive abilities. When we assess them by using the assessment, they can drive actually, but they don't have confidence. So in rehabilitation, basically what we do is we will do the off-road assessment. Basically, we have the driving simulator. So before we taking and putting them into the road, all right. So we will put a simulation. So they use a driving simulator. So for them to at least practice to gain a confidence. So means that we make them comfortable and to use maybe in terms of the car environment. Okay, so make them feel comfortable and have the confidence first before we put them into the car or on the road itself. So basically in rehabilitation, we do that treatment for them to regain the self-confidence.
All right. Thank you very much for this educative session about stroke.
All right. Thank you very much.
And driving.
Yes.
And I think our participants, everyone must have learned one or two things from this presentation. So you already mentioned the next direction in your research, talking about simulation and all that.
Yeah.
So in one sentence, which direction are you heading now in terms of this research? The future of this research.
Okay, so basically maybe by finding out the research, so we can expand it more, all right, maybe gaining a lot of research, lots of participants, all right, increase the number of samples in the whole Malaysia, and maybe it can improvise in terms of policy of driving in Malaysia. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you very much.
If there are no other questions, I think we should go to paper number 5. That is knowledge, attitude, and practice of computer vision syndrome among the office workers. So is the presenter there?
Hello.
You have 10 minutes.
Okay, hi, good afternoon. My name is Wadnur Amira binti Ibrahim. I'm from Center of Optometry Studies, Faculty of Health Science, Universiti Teknologi MARA, Puncak Alam Campus, Malaysia. So I would like to present our study on knowledge, attitude, and practice of computer vision syndrome, or we call CVU, CVS, among office workers. All right, so a widespread issue affecting millions of computer users is computer vision syndromes, or we call CVS. So CVS, based on American Optometric Association 2014, it states that CVS is a digital eye strain which refers to various vision and eye-related issues brought out by prolonged digital device use. So in Malaysia, 90% of undergraduate university students reported having symptoms of CVS, which is more frequent in those who use computers for more than 2 hours daily. Nowadays, more workers use prolonged time in front of computers, include me, due to their work and online chatting. So the best way to manage CVS is through prevention, including appropriate eye care and modification of environmental factors in CVS. So here in our study, the objective of our study, first to investigate the knowledge, attitude and practice of CVS, computer vision syndrome, among office workers in UiTM Puncak Alam campus. And the second, to investigate the association between knowledge, attitude, and practice of using video, or we call visual display unit, on CVS among office workers in UiTM Puncak Alam campus. Okay, so based on Burvis and NIF 1994, eye strain, irritation, and burning sensation, redness, blur vision, and double vision are the most common ocular complaints reported by workers. And many workers are typically pressured to work extra hours on computers with more significant mental demands, working at hectic pace, resulting in increased muscle strain and force. So this characteristic to be they need more short work breaks during their working to release their stress, and then this characteristic to be a significant risk factor for work-related musculoskeletal complaint. So besides the duration of employment and pre-existing eye disease was linked to the severity of CVS. It's based on a study by Rana Singhe et al. 2016. Okay, worker productivity and CVS. Using a video, or we call visual display unit, in everyday office work has been linked to an increase in the prevalence of specific symptoms of eye discomfort, which is also influenced by additional personal and ergonomic factors. So a Blame et al. 2005 survey showed that the transient myopia was seen in 20% of computer users after their work shift. Okay, so a study by Loh and Reddy 2008 showed a correlation between ocular symptoms such as pain, redness, dryness, blur vision, double vision, and other head and neck strain before computer usage. So in general, most symptoms associated with CVS may cause interruption of their work. So currently, digital device usage has increased substantially nowadays, especially for both social and professional purpose. As a result, more significant CVS symptoms have been reported among university staff due to the prolonged use of visual display unit. So people with CVS may be affected by their level of knowledge, attitude, and practice of using video. However, there are limited studies on associations between knowledge, attitude, and practice of using video affect CVS among university staff. Herein, this study aims to determine the knowledge, attitude, and practice of using video affect CVS among office workers at UiTM Puncak Alam campus. So this study was conducted in Malaysian Public University, UiTM Puncak Alam. So this study population was chosen among the staff that used the video during their working hours. So the sample size was calculated using the Rosoft software and considering 25% dropout rate. So the final sample size is 230 subjects. So the inclusion criteria were all permanent staff that work continuously with computers, at least 1 year, which is 3 hours every day, except for holidays in UiTM Puncak Alam. So the inclusion criteria are temporary UiTM staff, including subjects with symptoms and signs of CVS before their computer use, and anyone with ocular disease such as glaucoma. So a cross-sectional study was done to get all the required data from June until July 2022. And we go through the validated pre-tested questionnaire, and the questionnaire was distributed via email to all staff in UiTM Puncak Alam campus, and we got the permissions by respondents' consent, and the analysis was we analyzed the data using the SPSS by using the chi-square test to determine the association between knowledge, attitude, and practice of CVS. So a total of 254 office workers in the study. So the response rate is about 18.5%. And the vast majority of participants were female, 63.4%. Okay, and participants mainly were 9.5% age 39 years old. Among the survey office workers who were occupationally using the VDU, 50.8% work with computer between 11 to 20 years. Okay.
Excuse me, you have just 3 minutes more.
Okay. So most respondents, 48% use computers or laptops, and the majority of the respondents have refractive errors. So the level of knowledge, most office workers, 76.4% knew prolonged computer digital screen usage can lead to computer vision syndrome. Most of the office workers, 93.7%, are willing to practice proper workplace ergonomics to improve their quality of life. Based on the practice, most of them will ensure proper and adequate lighting at the workstation to provide good visual comfort, and take regular short break while working for prolonged hours. So for the association, the chi-square independent test showed that the gender proportion differed significantly between different level of knowledge. And the females should have more knowledge compared to males. And for the association between the demographic predators with the practice on CVS among office workers, it was found that there was a significant relationship between the years of the office worker working with the computers and the practice of using video on CVS. Other than that, it was found that there was not significant relationship between the gender and the practice of using video. Based on the attitude, the test showed that there was statistically significant association between the years working with the computers and the refractive error status towards the attitude. However, there was no statistically significant association between the gender and attitude on CVS. So based on the findings, the occurrence of CVS among office workers in developing country is due to a longer duration. Majority of staff that use video at based on the study AMER et al. 2015, it showed that majority of staff that use video at UPM have a high level of CVS knowledge. However, study by Stella et al. 2007 revealed that only 32% of the respondents from University of Benin had implemented their knowledge of CVS. So association between the demographic predators toward knowledge, attitude, and practice on CVS was significantly associated with the female gender. It was supported by other studies, Raganatha and Shetu 2019 and Mohammed Al-Hibshi et al. 2021. So the more years of computer use, the more the CVS symptoms are experienced, and the prolonged and continuous computer use usually may lead to CVS and can result in low work productivity. However, Rana Singh et al. 2016 said that knowledge of female gender and ergonomics practice was significantly associated with an increased risk of developing CVS. So this study revealed a strong relationship between the gender and years of computer experience toward the level of knowledge on CVS. Furthermore, there was a significant association between years working with computers and respondents' refractive error status with their attitude towards CVS and their practice in preventing of CVS. So we need to get the education and training, a suitable adjustment to the working environments economics for the future studies, suggest for the larger sample size from diverse populations to provide more significant statistical reliability. So I think that's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ibrahim, for that presentation. And other presenters, you listen to her. Do you have any suggestions on the research, or do you have questions? Okay, let me ask something. Your finding seem to relate more to gender than, is it possible that there are other socio-economic and cultural characteristics that might affect the knowledge and attitude to this computer vision syndrome, apart from gender?
Okay.
You know.
All right. So other than gender, based on study by AMER et al. 2015, they study on the staff in the Universiti Putra Malaysia. So from the study, the findings showed that the Malay, which is the Malay population staff has higher level of knowledge compared with the other ethnicities. So other than gender, so they also study on the ethnic, okay, and then other than that, study by Rana Singhe also discovered that the occurrence of CVS among office workers in the developing country of Sri Lanka is due to a longer duration of occupation, which is the working years may affect the CVS, computer vision syndrome symptoms.
Okay, so okay, you're confirming the fact that the culture might also affect the knowledge and attitude. How about something like lifestyle? You know, lifestyle between the generations. You know, if you take the younger generation and the older generation, you know, there could be a difference in the intensive use of the computer. Because if you take, you know, what they call the Z gen, the younger people, you know, at any excuse, they are doing things on IT, on their phones. Okay, maybe because you actually concentrated on using people that were using laptops in the offices. I also noticed that your finding said that people didn't use a lot of iPad in the offices, that they used mostly laptops and all that. Is it possible that between the generations, maybe people that were born maybe in the last maximum 15 years or born 20 years ago, it might be different from people that are like 35 years and older? Are there findings in this regard?
All right, thank you. Okay, Prof. Based on my findings, actually, because there is a delimited duration of the study, but from my research, that I saw that some of study have done the CVS during the pandemic compared with before the pandemic. As we know that during the pandemic, we always use the digital device, especially for the students, right? So mostly, most of the some of studies said that most of the respondents during the pandemic, they tend to get the more reflective error. instead of like dry eye, and then refractive error, and then eye strain, compared with before the pandemic. So yeah, I'm sure that there is a difference. There is a difference between during pandemic and before pandemic, as we know that we always use the digital device, right?
Okay, okay, that's good. So anyway, you already mentioned the direction of future research and all that. I think that this matter of socio-economic and cultural issues and lifestyle issues and generational differences and all that. You may want to look deeply into that again,
Yeah.
and see whether there might be more revelation. You never know. Yeah. Thank you very much for that presentation.
All right. Thank you, Prof, for the suggestion.
Yes. Are there any other contributions from the participants? Okay, there are no contributions. Your foreign participants, is the person here? I think I asked earlier, contributor to your paper. Do you have any foreign contribution to your paper? That is someone from another country that contributed to your paper. Do you have them? Co-author with you?
My co-author from one from Indonesia and one from Malaysia, but I think they can't join because I think there's not available, Prof.
Okay, it's not available. Okay,
sorry.
Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, thank you. We'll take the last paper in this session, which is paper number 6. That's the quality of work life among nurses in Malaysia government hospitals. Is Mrs. Sham there?
Yes, Prof.
Okay, you're presenting.
Yes.
Okay, you have 10 minutes to tell us about work life among nurses in Malaysia government hospital.
Thank you very much, Prof. Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, especially to our chairperson, Professor Babitunde, and fellow friends. I am Fatima Sham from Universiti Teknologi MARA, Malaysia. And today I would like to present our paper titled The Quality of Work Life Among Nurses in Malaysia Government Hospital. So from the title and the picture display, we can imagine who are these nurses and how they cope with their quality of life, including their work life. Their role was more significant when the world was struck by the pandemic COVID-19. As we know, nurses are the largest group and frontline workforce in healthcare system, and they play a crucial role in providing high-quality services around the world in order to improve people's health status as well as morbidity and mortality reduction. Thus, improving the quality of life among the nurses is vital. But what is quality of work life? It is a quality of relationship between employees and the total work environment. And for the quality of nursing work life is the relationship between the quality of nurses' work life, their personal as well as work needs, and the extent in which this relationship affect the nursing productivity and especially the patient outcome. Study shows that there were significantly and positively related the employee's psychological well-being and job satisfaction. And this also helped reduce employee turnover and increase organizational commitment. Despite their major contribution to health sector, nurses are facing a lot of issues that need to be addressed. Hectic work schedule, poor working condition, increased workload, imbalance of work, lack of involvement in decision-making, and poor relationship with supervisor are significant barriers to improve the quality of work life among the nurses. The decline in the quality of life associated with nurses' work will not only lead to mentally disorder, burnout, intention to leave, but it will also lead to the decrease in the quality of patient care, which is a threat to an organization. Hence, an understanding of quality of work life, a related factor among nurses, especially their working needs, can inform improvement strategy to achieve organizational goal. Quality of work life among nurses is different in different countries, varies from low level to moderate level. A few studies in Iran, Ethiopia, Egypt, and Nigeria reported that the nurses had low-level quality of work life, while nurses in Bangladesh, China, Canada, and Taiwan had moderate level. These differences mainly because the social value, economic condition, employment structure, and management of the hospital. Inadequate salary, overstaffing, doing the tasks that are not related to nurses, lack of autonomy, lack of solving staff problem by the organization, and the absence of management support, job insecurity, high job stress, unfair promotion policy, lack of professional development opportunities, inappropriate working environment were found to be among the reasons of low quality of work life among the nurses. Now we go to the methodology of the study. This is a descriptive cross-sectional study conducted among 1,008 nurses who work in 5 general hospitals in Malaysia, where the selected location represented 5 states in Malaysia regionally. The nurses who are experienced working in hospital setting for 6 months and above were selected to participate in this study. The data collection was collected from 1st of March to 30th of April 2020, and we used the study instrument adapted from previous study by Swami et al. 2015 with permission, and he is also one of the author in this study, and he is around with me now, giving me support to present this study. The questionnaire consists of 2 sections, the characteristic of the respondent and the quality of work-life questionnaire, which divided into 9 subscales, rated using 6-point Likert scale. The score will be rated between 50 to 250. The higher score than the overall mean indicates satisfied quality of work life. The reliability through comma alpha value of previous study was 0.88, while from the pilot study conducted was 0.97, shows that the consistency of the data was excellent. So we managed to get the approval from the institutional UITM and the Malaysia Ministry of Health Medical Research Ethics Committee, and with the support from the nursing division, in which the director of nursing Malaysia is one of our author in this study. The data was collected using Google form via Google link.
Mrs. Sham, you have come to the middle. You are the middle of your presentation. You've stayed 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes more.
Okay. This method used because during the data collection process, pandemic COVID-19 just struck Malaysia and the order of MCO was just released. All data was converted into SPSS and was analyzed using descriptive and analytical statistics. So now, this is the result of our study. The mean age of the respondent was 36.79, which half of them were at the age of between 31 to 40 years old. Majority of them were female, Malay, married, had diploma as their level of education, and had served as a nurse between 5 to 10 years. Most of them was a clinical nurse, shift work, permanent staff with monthly income between 3 to 1,000. Majority of them live in a nuclear family with a family size of 1 to 5 people. They had dependent child or dependent adult, and majority of them took less than an hour travel to workplace. The overall mean of quality of work life in this study was 180.04, which indicate moderate quality of work life. This was similar with studies conducted among nurses who work in both government and private hospital in Pakistan, ACQoL et al. 2023, public hospital in Western Iran, AMER et al. 2020, nurses in tertiary hospital India, AicQoL et al. 2017, and the nurses in teaching hospital India, Hemanadan et al. 2017. This was contradicted with a study in Iran public hospital, Raisi et al. 2019, and a study in southern Ethiopia by Calbiso et al. 2017. The variation might be related to the social value and the different condition in the work environment. In addition, there were differences of statistic population, the applied tool, and the scoring method used in each of these studies. The most domain that was satisfied by the nurses in this study was the training and development, in which most of the nurses were satisfied with the frequent of training conducted. This was supported by studies stated that nurses who participate in educational courses and opportunities of career and professional development had an influent impact on the quality of work life among the nurses, according to Takara et al. 2017, Calbiso et al. 2017. The satisfaction and job security, the relation and cooperation were another satisfaction domain, as most of the nurses satisfied when they were given an opportunity to perform their best in job by their organization. And satisfied with the harmonious relationship with their colleague. This was supported by study which reported that satisfaction with co-worker and the feeling of belonging to the workplace were among the most satisfied things of the nurses. However, the most unsatisfied quality of work-life domain was the autonomy of the work. The nurse claimed that they were quite stressful and they were not require autonomy to make patient care decisions, as the same statement by Takara et al. 2017. However, by increasing their sense of autonomy and self-determination, the nurses felt that they can control well the task given and the work environment, according to Tipani et al. 2020. Another domain that...
Excuse me, you have 1 minute to please round up.
Okay, another domain that nurses are unsatisfied was the facility for workers and the organizational culture, as most of them were unsatisfied with the good transportation facility. They felt discriminated and their job was not freely offer comment and suggestion on their performance. The potential source of this dissatisfaction was lack of participation in decision-making and autonomy. Next, we go to the result and discussion. We found that there's a difference between monthly income and had dependent child, dependent adult, working experience, and job posts. Nurses with monthly income less than 3,000, with working experience less than a year, and had no dependent child or dependent adult was found to have higher quality of life. And this was contradicted with a few studies in which stated that working experience, the length of working experience, a significant better quality of life. Although in our result shows that we also support this statement, however, the nurses in our study found that nurses who had less than a year of experience were found to have better quality of life. This is because there are less occupational stress, as they are not being exposed to more tasks and responsibility. And uncertain economic situation, these newly worked nurses were more acceptable with their income and they received the beginning to their job. Other factor is the job post. And in this study, we found that the contract post nurses will have better quality of life, in which this is contradict with other studies, shows that the permanent staff have a better